If you're shopping while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast, then you know and love the thrill of a deal. But are you getting the deal and cash back? Rakuten shoppers do. They get the brands they love, savings, and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Target, Sephora, and even Expedia. Stack sales on top of cash back and feel what it's like to know you're maximizing the savings. It's easy to use, and you get your cash back sent to you through PayPal or check. The idea is simple. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back. Download the free Rakuten app or go to Rakuten.com to start saving today. It's the most rewarding way to shop. That's Rakuten, Rakuten.com.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Disclaimer. Morning Crankers is not responsible for coffee snorts, keyboard drool, awkward public laughter, spontaneous twerking, or any texts you regret after listening. Side effects may include joy, confusion, and the realization that your sense of humor needs therapy. If symptoms persist, don't call us. We're not that kind of show. Now then, good morning, you half-awake, chaos-loving, life-on-hard mode, champions of Earth. This is Morning Crankers, the show that slaps harder than a grandma with a fly swatter. Jokes are fresh, filters are off, and dignity left the chat hours ago. So grab your caffeine, hug your poor decisions, and brace yourself for the ride. Welcome to Morning Crankers.
Good morning, you beautiful crankers. It's your boy Hans here with Morning Crankers Comedy Podcast, bringing you the news that makes you go, wait, what? That's right, welcome, welcome. Grab your coffee, grab your existential dread, and let's dive into this absolute circus that is our world this week, unfortunately. Yeah, I've got 11 stories today that are going to make you question everything. Okay, is water wet? Does oxygen live in the air? You know what I mean? So let's get ready. Let's crank it up. Welcome to Morning Crankers. I'm Hans, and getting ready, another game in the World Series. I'm starting to think those guys are robots. I'm a Brewers fan, so boo to the Canadians. All right, and boo to the Dodgers. You know what I'm saying. $350 million payroll versus $115 million. That ought to be outlawed. You know what I mean? It ought to be outlawed. Do you really think, and this is a question, I'm saying, I'm not saying, are the Dodgers 3 times better than the Brewers? Like, if you gave the Brewers the $350 million, could they compete? I don't think so, So, yeah, that's what it is what it is. All right. First up, today, I just want you to remember these stories are real stories, okay? This is not fake news. These are real, and it's going to make you question the world that you're living in today, all right? The first one I want to talk about is Iceland. Okay, that beautiful country. They got hot springs, the northern lights, and apparently now they have mosquitoes. That's right, folks. For the first time in Iceland's entire history, they found mosquitoes. And get this, they found 3 of them. 3. Now, I was questioning this heart and soul because I have family in Alaska. And mosquitoes are part of life in the muskeg, if you know what I mean. But they found 3 mosquitoes in Iceland. Okay, now that's not an invasion. That's like when your cousin shows up uninvited to Thanksgiving. Oh, great. Steve's here with his opinions about crypto, that sort of thing. But here's the kicker. They found these mosquitoes in October in Iceland. So you know what that means. Climate change is so out of control that mosquitoes are like, you know what? I heard Iceland's nice this time of year. Very, very temperate. Let's go check out some fjords and ruin everyone's day. The scientist who found them, and I do love this guy, his name is Bjorn. Of course it is. That's like completely Viking. You know what I mean? Well, Bjorn was at a farm and he spotted what he called a strange fly on a red wine ribbon. That's right, a red wine ribbon. The dude is so Icelandic, he has a decorative wine ribbon laying around. I want you to think about that for a second. Meanwhile, here in my house, I can't even find a pair of matched socks. Do you guys have that problem? So now Antarctica is the only place on Earth without mosquitoes. I want you to think about that. Antarctica. Now, the place that's literally trying to kill you just by existing, that's the only mosquito-free zone left. I'm telling you, we're about 5 years away from polar bears swatting mosquitoes while they're trying to drown because of the melting ice caps. I mean, do you believe that? Well, that's mostly BS, but yeah, mosquitoes there. Dark, yes. Accurate, well, kind of, yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know what? Can't go to Iceland anymore to get away from the mosquitoes. Now, moving on. We talked a few weeks ago about these new AI glasses. Well, check this out. Amazon is now having their drivers wear delivery glasses. Okay, think about that. You know, the company that somehow knows you need batteries before you actually need the batteries, that company, well, they have now invented smart glasses for their delivery drivers. Now, hearing this at first, I was kind of like, well, that's cool. You know, helping workers. Great. Okay, I'm all down with that. But then I read the details on this, folks, and this is like some total Black Mirror type stuff. Okay, these glasses give drivers turn-by-turn directions. Okay, and some people say, oh, yeah, you know, that's like GPS has been doing that for years. Okay, it can also scan packages. All right, so, you know, in those movies, James Bond type movies, they look and the little green webs come over the top of them and it says, you know, yeah, cyborg stuff. Okay, well, it's doing this. Then it also is like a war machine because it can detect hazards. And this is happening all in real time while they're walking to your door. So let me translate what that actually means. Amazon has created a device that tracks every single movement their drivers make. Oh, you stop for 3 seconds? Why, Kevin? Was there a bird? We don't pay you to look at birds, Kevin. And that's what I think they're going with this, okay? Now, this article says the glasses reduce the need to look at their phones. And Lord help us, we all know that needs to happen. Have you seen all the people getting hit by cars because they're staring at their phones and walking in front of a, 2-ton iron missile? Yeah, well, they're doing it. So I think everybody needs to reduce looking at your phone. However, I don't know. Maybe if you're Amazon, you could, stop the problem with having so many freaking deliveries that it's insane, the quotas, maybe you could stop the Amazon drivers from having to pee in bottles. Maybe. I'm just saying. And according to them, Future versions will detect if you dropped off a package at the wrong address. So now the glasses are going to be like, yeah, actually, Karen lives at 42 Maple Street, not 44. This is Susan's home. Susan doesn't even like Karen. Try again, buddy. Oh, and the glasses can tell if there's a pet in the yard. So now Amazon drivers are going to be walking around looking like literally low-budget Terminators. That's crazy. Think about that. Threat detected, threat detected. You know, in Chihuahua named Mr. Pickles. This gets us super, super aggressive with you, and it's going to be like, you know, maximum danger detected. Now, it's happening in your world today, right now, okay? It's kind of crazy. But this is like rapid fire today, so we're going to go into story number 3 already, because the whole point of this is 11 stories from today that show you how crazy our world is. This is Chinese kidney marriage. Kind of sounds weird, doesn't it? Well, this next story is really wild. And we're going to go to China for this one, which, you know, you usually don't think about China and wild, you know, in the same paragraph. Well, there's a 24-year-old woman named Wang Chao who had kidney failure. She needed a transplant or she was going to die within a year. But nobody in her family was a match. So you know what she actually did? She posted a marriage ad in a cancer patient support group. I want you to listen to that again. I'm going to repeat this. She advertised for a husband who was dying of cancer so she could get his kidney when he died. Yeah. That's probably the most traumatic thing I've ever heard of. Like forget Tinder, like forget Match. Hey, I want to marry you because you're dying and I need your kidney. This woman literally went straight to till death do us part. And, oh, by the way, can I also have your kidney? Okay, but here's a twist. And this actually kind of beautiful in a really super crazy weird way. She married this guy named Yu Jinping in 2013, took care of him, and they literally fell in love, like actual love. Not just, give me your kidney love, but they started dating for real. By 2014, his cancer went into remission. Dialysis needs decreased, and he literally proposed. And not like a business proposal, but like a romantic one. Like, hey, I know we got married so you can harvest my organs, but how about we stay married because I actually like you? The internet's calling them the modern day romantic heroes. I'm calling them the only couple who can honestly say their relationship has real chemistry, like, blood type chemistry. And honestly, this is still a better life story than Twilight. Do you agree? Speaking of love stories and, the weird and what's going on in America and in the world, for crying out loud. Here on Morning Crankers, we like to accentuate the good things in life. But lately, things have been kind of getting weird. Like, you can't just call goodness goodness anymore. And for goodness sakes, story number 4 today is about restaurant robbers. Isn't that weird to say love and, be goodness and restaurant robbers? Well, I'm going to go to Scottsdale, Arizona. All right. Picture yourself there. Cacti everywhere. Little rolling mountains, This couple broke into a restaurant, and then they decided to have sex in front of a rose photo wall, and then they robbed the place. Now, I have a lot of questions about this, but first of all, how about some priorities? All right, I want to know, in 2025, who breaks into a building and thinks, you know what? Oh, yeah, the mood is right. Let's get frisky before we go steal some crap. You know what I'm saying? That's not criminal behavior. That's like really, really poor time management. Okay, this is a true story. The restaurant is called Mon Cherie. It's very romantic. It's very Instagram worthy. It's got roses literally everywhere. It's a hot spot for bachelorette parties. So these two criminals broke in at 3:50 in the morning, and they were like, well, babe, come on, man. The lighting's perfect. Let's make this a core memory. The owner, and I love her for this, her name is Lexi. She called them the modern-day Bonnie and Clyde. Lexi, that's very generous. But Bonnie and Clyde robbed banks. Now, these people got away with $450 in an iPhone 5. An iPhone 5, is that worth the weight of carrying? Literally, the phone is so old, it has a headphone jack. And I kind of miss that, I'm not going to lie. It's worth less than the roses they defiled committing the act of... And they stole a bottle of liquor. So I want you to get this straight. They broke in. They had relations. They stole pocket change. They grabbed grandma's phone and took one bottle of booze. Okay, that's not a heist. That's just really weird. It's like Tuesday for a college sophomore in some of these finer learning institutions. The security footage also caught their faces when they took their masks off, and they did it all in front of cameras smiling after committing multiple crimes. Literally, you can't make this up. It's 2025 or bust. You know what I mean? If you're going to be criminals, at least be good at it. These two couldn't even rob a restaurant without stopping and, doing what for a photo op. Oh, I just think about that for a second. Are you going crazy yet? Are you getting worried about where our world is? Well, any of you eco-minded people out there, the crankers that really care, this next story is going to get to you, and it's about cocaine shrimp. Okay, scientists in England tested shrimp from rivers, okay, in England. Guess what they found? Cocaine. In every single shrimp they tested, they found cocaine. Okay, not some shrimp, not most shrimp, every single shrimp. That's 100% of the shrimp were on blow. All right. Now, the researchers were like, well, we expected to find this in urban areas like London. And they even found it in rural areas, meaning even countryside shrimp are partying. Like, these shrimp are living in a peaceful stream in Suffolk County, doing lines off of lily pads. But hang on, wait, there's more. And remember, this is for you eco people out there. That's not all they found. They also found ketamine, Xanax, Valium, and banned pesticides. These shrimps are not just doing drugs, they're doing all the drugs. They're like the motley crew of crustaceans. The scientists keep saying, oh, the levels are just trace amounts, no big deal. No big deal. Every shrimp in England is a walking pharmacy, okay? You're telling me I can't go fishing without catching something that needs rehab. Please think about that. And here's my favorite part. One researcher said we need to focus more on invisible chemical pollution. Invisible? Invisible. If every shrimp, I'm talking 100% of shrimp, test positive for cocaine, isn't that visible? Maybe this dude needs some of those AI glasses. You know what I mean? I just want you to remember, if you're in England, be careful about ordering shrimp scampi. Because you might know that you're going to be eating something with better drug connections than your weird cousin Derek. Oh, God. Kind of the same thing. I mean, we have streams in America where the fish are contaminated with meth. Does that make you feel weird? How do you feel about the world in 2025? Yeah, that's it. Well, we're moving on. The charity boss. who doesn't like supporting a good charity? The problem with this one, folks, this one actually makes your man Hans here. I am legitimately angry about this. All right. So if you have anger issues, please buckle up. Now, there's a woman, and when I say her name, you're going to be like, oh, God, here we go. Her name is Connie Bobo, like Bimbo, but Bobo. All right. She is the executive director of a nonprofit in Missouri that was supposed to feed low-income children. Now, her organization got $11 million in taxpayer money from the USDA to provide meals. Well, what did Connie Bobo do? Well, she spent allegedly spent $10 million on mansions. That's right, for herself and her relatives and her boyfriend. She went and bought her boyfriend a Mercedes G-Wagon for $2.2 million. Do you know how many meals you can buy for children for $2.2 million, or $10 million if you throw in the mansions? Literally millions of meals. She reported serving 3 million meals that never even existed. She just made it up. Like she was out there playing Sims with government money. Yeah. Yeah, the kids are fed, but don't check. By the way, I need another mansion. This also happened during the pandemic, by the way. While regular Americans are losing their jobs and struggling to feed their kids, this woman, was buying investment properties for her and her boyfriend. Think about this. They offered her a plea deal and she said no and chose to go to trial anyways. Now, what makes me mad, the pure audacity, the gall of this woman, because this isn't confidence. I mean, they've already proven that she did this. This is delusional. Literally, you've heard the phrase, I hope they throw the book at her. Well, I hope they throw the whole damn library at her. I hope that she can read about herself in prison. You know what I mean? Like when you do that to kids, when you do things to people that can't take care of themselves, that are literally defenseless, I mean, you can't stop. But what would be your excuse? You get $10 million from the USDA to do a good thing, to, feed kids that are hungry. That is some wicked, morbid stuff right there. And you know what? Poo-poo on her. That's all I can say. Speaking of poo-poo, story number 7. Are you getting there yet? There's a country that did this weird thing with other weird things. And this is the ancient poop analysis. All right, I want to cleanse the palate a little bit here with some ancient poop. Scientists studied 1,300-year-old human feces from the Cave of Dead Children in Mexico. Sounds beautiful. Place that everybody wants to go, right? Well, yeah. First of all, that name is already freaking terrifying. Would you want to go visit? Let's go see the Cave of Dead Children. No, I'm good. Thanks anyways. I'm good though. But these scientists, they looked at 10 samples of prehistoric poo-poo called paleofeces. I mean, and even that, like in today, if you said, what is paleofeces to a kid, they'd be like, oh, it's a rare Pokemon card. And here's what they found. They found that ancient people were riddled with intestinal diseases. Okay, but is intestinal disease and parasites, are they the same thing? Think about this. They found, remember, 1,300 years ago, somebody took a dump, or, a few people took a dump. There was a mound of it, in this cave of dead children. And they found hookworms, whipworms, pinworms, E. coli, parasites, basically everything except a Yelp review they found in their poo-poo. these people were suffering. Okay, the lead researcher said working with the samples was like opening up a biological time capsule. Well, I don't know. I could give a sample or two if you know what I mean. Now, sure, you can call it that. I call it looking at old poop for science. Okay, you don't have to dress it up for me or morning crankers. You know what I mean? One scientist's name is Joe Brown. And Joe Brown studied brown samples, if you know what I mean. You could not convince me. You just cannot convince me that something didn't go wrong in that guy's childhood. You know what I mean? The study concluded that these ancient people had poor sanitation. Yeah, 1,400, 1,300 years ago. You think people didn't know about germs and stuff? I mean, they were pooping in a cave. I think about some of the pooping things that we know about today. Like, have you ever been driving down the interstate? Beautiful sunset. And then there's an ego driver hanging, from the front wheel of his truck. He just couldn't make it anymore, and he's, taking a dump. You think they're going to study that stuff in 1,400 years? Of course, 1,300. I mean, what did they get paid? About $50 million to go do this study? I don't think Lysol had been made yet, if you know what I mean. I don't even think they were using plumbing. But, hey, shout out to these scientists. Someone's got to study 1,300-year-old turds. Okay. I'm glad it's just not me. And again, I want you to think, we're in October 2025, 2.5 months, not even, away from 2026. And they do this study. They get paid millions of dollars. They probably didn't get all that, the politicians and stuff that were paying for this had to get their money back. But you know what I mean? They're literally dissecting poop. And they found the same thing that we have today. Well, in other news, sometimes it doesn't pay to be nice. Okay, I come from the Midwest. I mean, I think we're too nice already, but everybody's nice. Everybody is nice. But there was a weird scientific study done on being mean to ChatGPT. And this is one of my favorite stories of the day because it's just so damn petty. Scientists have now discovered that if you are mean to ChatGPT, it actually gives you a chance to be more accurate with ChatGPT's answers. Now, they went and they tested it with polite prompts like, can I request your assistance? Versus rude prompts like, hey, gopher, go figure this out. Or, I know you're not smart, but try this. And the rude prompts, I want you to think about this, were more accurate by 4%. ChatGPT we're talking about. So basically, we've created artificial intelligence that works better when you insult it. We've invented a robot that thrives on abuse. I mean, are they trying to make a model of the American people here? That's the most human thing AI has ever done, literally. Now, I'm imagining people across the world be like, listen here, you glorified calculator. Tell me the capital of Peru or I'm uninstalling you now. It says the researchers say we don't advocate using hostile language. Oh, now we get to have ethics. Right after they proved that bullying works. And now, for some reason, they want to try to take the high road. Sounds like some bosses out there, if you know what I mean. But they did add in the study that being mean could have a negative effects on your user experience. You think I'm going to picture someone verbally abusing their phone in ChatGPT and just snap one day? You think? That's it, Kevin. I'm deleting your essay. Figure it out yourself. Could it happen? I don't know, folks. The future is weird, and I don't know where we're going. Also, I'm sure you've heard this week, the big NBA mafia gambling thing, right? Well, I got a story here. Meyer Lansky II on athlete gambling. Okay, and this one's serious for a second, if you know what I mean. Meyer Lansky II. Yeah, that Lansky family. Okay, they wrote about how athletes get sucked into illegal betting rings and organized crime. His whole point is that young athletes suddenly have tons of money, tons of pressure, and tons of people around them who don't have their best interest at heart. He says gambling just isn't about money. It's about identity and status and the rush. And when you mix that with mafia connections and high-stakes poker, you get a recipe for destroyed careers. I want you to think about this Meyer Lansky II. Like any normal American, wouldn't you like to have the chance? Not to do something illegal, but to say, well, it's about my identity. It's about my status. It's about the rush. No, most Americans are worried about paying their electric bill or having enough money after going and buying groceries to put money in their gas tank to get to work. I want you to think about that. He literally said that poker tables are manufactured social stages where reputations are forged and exploited. Well, unless you're a professional gambler, how are your reputations getting forged there? Because you're betting the big game? What is it there, literally? That's probably the most ominous description of a card game that I've ever heard. Okay, it's like, I just wanted to play Go Fish, man. But he's right. I would think about this. Teams give lip service to gambling education, but they don't actually protect their players. What do they say? It was just don't gamble. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. Don't have sex before marriage. And then what do? Well, then they leave them alone with people who have mob connections. So Meyer Lansky II, his solution is mentorship, real consequences, and honest education. Wow, revolutionary. Get right on that. Treating people like adults and giving them support. What a wild frickin' concept. Are we that far gone that we just keep regurgitating everything? Like life is kind of like Hollywood. You know how Hollywood keeps outputting these movies that are like throwbacks because they can't come up with a new original idea? It's old crap that's refurbished to present to new people. And then they're like, oh, look at this breakthrough. And it's like, that's not a breakthrough. That was a breakdown. It happened 30 years ago. And now they're revolutionizing these old things. You know what I mean? And then I thought, you know what? Maybe he's just sending a message. If Meyer Lansky's grandson is telling you to stay away from something, maybe we should listen. Well, we're getting close. We got 2 more stories yet. Now, this is very, very frightening. I don't know if you're like me and you're scared to get on airplanes, but I want to talk about Boeing. Because, apparently this company can't catch a break. A United Airlines pilot was flying a Boeing 737 MAX. Already, literally, the plane equivalent of, what could go wrong? I don't even know what lives up here, but at 36,000 feet, something hit the windshield and shattered the windshield on a 737 MAX at 36,000 feet. Now, what would you do if you were that pilot? What would you do if you were one of the passengers? I kind of want to know. I've got so many questions about this. Like at 36,000 feet, aren't you supposed to freeze to death like relatively quickly? You know what I mean? But the pilot got cuts and bruises and scorch marks on the glass. But where did you get scorch marks from? From space? You know what I mean? Like, probably. But NASA thinks it might have been space debris or a tiny meteorite. What are the chances that a tiny meteorite hits a Boeing 737 MAX at 36,000 feet? They said that not only have we polluted the Earth, but we've got so much junk floating around Earth that it's literally falling on airplanes. Great. Another thing. Yeah. Love that for us, the human race. I love that for us. The FAA says the chances of space debris hitting a plane are 1 trillion to 1. Does that mean that the Boeing 737 MAX just hit a space lottery? Because the prize doesn't sound very good to me, if you know what I mean. The plane made an emergency landing in Salt Lake City. Everybody was fine except for the pilot, who literally, it's a story that nobody's going to believe anywhere at any parties, but it did happen. Yeah. Just imagine you're up there and you're single pilot and you're trying to get with this really hot chick, and he's like, yeah, I got hit by a meteorite while flying. Yeah, sure, Dave. And I'm the Queen of England. The guy doesn't even have anything. I feel bad for him, cuts, bruises, NASA, get this, is currently tracking 25,000 pieces of space debris. 25,000. We've turned low Earth orbit literally into a cosmic junkyard, and now we're paying for it. It's raining down on us like angry space confetti. It sucks, okay? We really are just speedrunning into the apocalypse. At least that's what it feels like from today's show, does it not? And finally, regardless of what you feel about politics, you should probably know that there is now a Tylenol autism lawsuit. Yeah, and it's real. It's kind of a downer, to be honest with you. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing Johnson & Johnson and Kenvue, claiming that they hid research linking Tylenol use during pregnancy to autism and ADHD. The lawsuit cites 26 different studies showing possible connections and accuses the company of basically saying, it's probably fine for decades. Johnson & Johnson's defense is, we don't even own Tylenol anymore. We sold that division. Oh, cool. So they made billions, then they handed off the liability. That's literally not a defense. That's kind of like a corporate hot potato, if you know what I'm saying. No, Ken Paxton, he came out swinging, saying, Big Pharma has betrayed America by profiting off of pain and pushing pills regardless of the risks. Which, to me, that seems like the whole pharmaceutical industry's business model. All right? Now, I'm not a scientist, okay? And I don't know if the link is even real. But I do know that if there were 26 studies showing a possible connection and you didn't warn people, that's shady. That's really, really shady, shoddy, and you know what? Okay, all people, especially pregnant women, deserve to know the risks of what they got. Families deserve transparency, and companies that hide health risks to protect profits deserve to get sued into oblivion. So good luck in court, J&J. Hope your legal team is better than your warning labels. You know what I mean? And that's it, folks. That is Morning Crankers. 11 stories that prove that we are living in the weirdest timeline and heading towards oblivion. We've got mosquitoes in Iceland, cocaine shrimp in England, ancient poop diseases turning up and being studied, Amazon turning delivery drivers into cyborgs, a couple that fell in love over a kidney transplant, restaurant robbers with terrible priorities, a charity thief stealing from children, scientists being mean to AI and it working better, athletes getting exploited by the mob, space debris hitting planes, and big pharma may be poisoning babies. It's chaos. It's Earth. It's beautiful chaos. Thank you for cranking with me this morning. And remember, stay informed, stay skeptical, and for the love of God, don't do your crime in front of security cameras. I'm Hans. This has been Morning Crankers Comedy Podcast. Now, go out there and make today less weird and make these stories the low bar. You know what I mean? See you next time, Crankers.